And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This Vlogcast started as a combination of spite, the Streisand effect, because, wow, man, you try to have a nice time, you try to have a fun time, and then all of a sudden the whole rest of everything says, no, you shouldn't be trying to do that. That would be wrong. Why would you ever want to go and do a thing like that? And ruin everybody else's night. Which is exactly the reason why this show started. And part of this is to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble, and you can find me pretty much everywhere under that name. That's Shujin. Good to be back with you. Fortunately, I am not alone at the moment. This evening, joining from the left coast, I.O. Cloud. Good to have you, Hack. I know, but it is what it is right now.
I'm eating a chocolate-covered strawberry.
I'm sorry, did you say a taco-covered strawberry?
No, chocolate.
I'm glad I clarified that.
Today is Valentine's Day. Today is also 100 days since my husband Blackcourt has passed. To everyone else, it's Valentine's Day, Singles Awareness Day,
pre-chocolate half-price day.
Stuff like that, yeah. But to me, it's 100 days, and 100 days in several different Asian calendars is very important. All I can say is I went to D&D today to try and forget, and we spent most of the time talking about science fiction, the five of us.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And yesterday when I was at Albertsons, I'm giving a huge shout out to them, the floral department lady talked to me about what I was thinking about getting for myself. And then she turned around, grabbed a bouquet, took it to the counter, grabbed a special receipt, and handed both of those to me, and I got a bouquet from Albertsons for free. And she basically had me sobbing.
So
my husband never really gave me flowers. Like he would give me the odd flower, the odd orchid that would last about 3 weeks, whatever. I tried to save the orchids, really, I did. But he did give me tons and tons and tons of stuffed animals, and the last stuffed animal that he arranged for me to get will be here on Tuesday. I won the money when we did the casino audit to pay for it. I'm pretty sure he paid for the shipping, or at least made the arrangements, and about a week later I got all the money back that I handed to him because errand running and whatnot. But the last one that he arranged for me to get will be here on Tuesday, and I'll be posting pictures.
Fair enough.
And yes, I have gotten 2 stuffed animals since he died that I bought myself, and somebody else bought me one too. So
as I was about to say, for those of you, for whatever reason, this is not the, quote, celebratory weekend, we, of course, sincerely hope that you have at least had an enjoyable and or restful one. Whatever it is that you do or don't celebrate. After all, it's the weekend, if nothing else. And if you really wanted an excuse for a celebration without having to worry about it all, it was Jack Benny's 39th birthday. Again. So, if you don't know about Jack Benny, you should look him up sometime. Seriously, the comedy was great.
I swear the chocolate's gone alcoholic. I can taste it. Would not surprise me.
It's entirely plausible.
Mm-hmm.
So as always, everybody, thank you very much for joining us. We hope that you are doing well, as mentioned. Of course, if you'd like to be joining us as we're recording live over here on YouTube, please feel free. You can be part of the live chat over there, which at the moment, Stephanie is the only one there, and that's okay. We appreciate you. Always do. Good morning. So it's, as mentioned, for some of us, it's not the easiest of times because, love is in the air. And I will only speak for myself on this one, just because I would not hold it against anyone being happy, enjoying the love fest that is Valentine's Day. If you've got it, as far as I'm concerned, believe it or not, what I love to see, couples holding hands, just out there in public, just because. So, is it romantic love when that happens? Sometimes. Is it just love for each other? Cool. But just the act of being close and connected. I appreciate that. So some of you might actually be wondering, why am I as fuzzy as I am currently? The weather here in the Buffalo market has been cold and cold again, and then too warm for its own good, and then cold all over again. And considering that I spend most, well, not necessarily most, but a good portion of my workday out of doors, yeah, it's kind of been a necessity. I would really like to be able to, shave myself down to a proper Van Dyke again, bring my hair back down to its much shorter, cropped down set, but until things warm up just a little bit, it's kind of tough. So you have to put up with me just a little bit longer with the look like this. Oh well, what are you going to do? It's my show, my rules. Yeah. Stephanie's also saying, when you get to my age, okay, first off, that's why Jack Benny was 39. It is a way of making sure both of you stay upright. Nothing wrong with that. Now, one of the big things about Jack Benny, and the reason why the 39 age is a joke, that was part of his shtick. There's nothing funny about turning 40. He joked about it, but then he followed it up with, but there is everything funny about never turning 40. Hence, he was known for being 39 years old, even though he died theoretically after a little bit more than 2 Jack Bennies old. I actually haven't run the numbers recently to double check where I am at this point. I'm not 2 Jack Bennies old, but I think I'm basically 1.5.
I think I'm about 1 1/3.
Actually, come to see. Let's see. I'm about to, oh my gods. This is 2026. I'm about to become 57 years old very soon. Divided by 39. I am 1.46 Jack Bennies old.
I'm 1.38 Jack Bennies old, or will be at my next birthday.
You know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. So, if you want to find out a little bit more about him, I'm sure you can find lots and lots of his old-time radio shows on, like, archive.org. There are plenty of his TV shows and some of the radio shows on YouTube. He was a class act. The only comedian of his day who he could never completely straight man for was George Burns. I'll tell you one quick story because it was hysterical and I love it. Jack was hosting a party, and George, of course, went out there because best of friends. And Jack came over to him, checked in on him, said, "How you doing? Having a good time?" He's just like, "Yeah, having a great time." You've got a thread on your suit. Let me get that for you. He took the thread off of his it's white thread off his suit, put it on his own lapel. No idea. Why would you do something like that? Went through the rest of the night. A couple of days later, in the post came a little jewelry box with a thread on there and a note from him to basically say, "Thanks for letting me borrow this. It was the hit of the night for me." And it just made him laugh so hard because leave it to George Burns to make something as simple as a white thread on his dark suit suddenly become a noticeable item that everybody would want to talk to him about it. And it was all because of Jack. Any case, let's get started because, I'm sipping on coffee over here, and we'll see how long that lasts. Let's do that. So, with 5 minutes on the clock, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get your 5 minutes freestyle to start right now. And this is a tough one for me. Worthiness, and I'm pretty sure that I've mentioned something about this before. This is an incredibly difficult topic for me because this one hits far and away more personally than I otherwise would be comfortable for. But it's important to make sure that folks understand about this. Few that there might be that listen to us. It's tough for a lot of people, myself included, very especially myself included, to ask for help. There is an expression that says that the 3 most powerful words in the English language are not "I love you." They are "let me help." Asking for help is difficult for a lot of people. For myself, boy, man, I can't tell you how difficult it is. At the risk of giving a little too much away, it's entirely plausible that I could just not ask. So much so that it might be to a long-term detriment. Has that happened? I'm sure at some point it probably has. Long-term detriments are really hard to judge in a short term, obviously. In my youth? Yeah, probably. Again, it's kind of hard to remember a lot of these things, but it is what it is. And looking up information about it has made me wonder, what is it that happened to me as a child? What happened during my formative years that made me feel like I'm not worthy? I mean, I can remember certain moments in my youth where I had traumatic moments with people. Who, in particular, doesn't matter. Some of them were people who were older than me, some who were my age. And if you think I'm talking about any particular people, I can guarantee you have no idea. It's tough when you don't know how to even say, can you help me? Because one of the early seasons of, well, actually the very first season, Star Trek Next Generation, there were a race known as the Binars. There was going to be a problem. There was going to be a shutdown of their collective computerized consciousness because of a solar flare. And they were unsure if Starfleet would help them, so they commandeered the Enterprise. And when they were asked, why would you do that? Why would you steal a starship? Why would you do what you've just done? They discussed it amongst themselves, the four of them. And the answer was simple, elegant, to the point, and almost concerning. The answer was, verbatim, you might have said no. That's me. That's always me. And I can't tell you how difficult it is to get around that. Never mind through it. Trying to find a way around that block, it's difficult. And I can't for the life of me imagine what it's like for anyone else. I really don't believe that anyone else has it the way that I do. But I know that there are people who do that, for whatever the reason. So, if part of that resonates with you, if part of that makes you think, well, I guess maybe I'm not alone in that. You're not. And that's okay. You don't have to ask for help of every last little thing, but there are people around you that will try, even if just a little bit. You may not think so, because I sure as hell didn't. But there are people that'll help. It's okay to feel lonely. Don't ever think that you're alone. And funny enough, if you check out on the show notes over on YouTube, you'll see that that quote is always at the bottom. Always at the bottom, because it's true. It's tough to admit sometimes, but it's true. We do our best. And you know, I was hoping that one of the other guys would be joining us so far at this point, because if anybody's going to be fashionably late, that would be the time. We know full well that UnrenownedTech is not going to be able to make it. I'm not at this point expecting Joey to show up, and I do not know if Brigid will be able to make it at this point. Probably not. But we'll see. We'll see where it takes us. And if somebody else ends up showing up, hey, cool, we'll work with it. Otherwise, let's go ahead and get rolling. It'll be time for the horrible scopes. So for those of you that know what your astrological sign is, cool. Those of you that don't, I don't care how you figured out for yourself. You can just make it up as you go along. It's not going to change the outcome at all. It's going to be whatever it's going to be. Now, this week's scopes, by the way, I started writing them, and then I completely scrapped them after I got back from work, and I decided to just completely rework and go in a completely different way. So originally I was going to be going with like a 3-dice roll system, you know, deciding on a color and gauging everybody's scope off of that. That got too convoluted, so I scrapped it and started all over again. So instead, we're going to be looking to give some follow-up advice from horrible scopes gone by, instead of, you know, just redoing and copy-pasting from years gone by, because I've done that already. It's time to do some follow-ups. That doesn't happen very often. Aries,
Can I start?
you want to start?
Mm-hmm.
Be my guest.
Aries, we had suggested that you should buy a Venus flytrap for your kitchen. So how's that coming along? Getting them to eat flies isn't tough, but the cold season this makes it tough. So you need to feed them little bits of hamburger like it's Cleopatra from the Addams Family. So this week, after Angelica Houston finished filming the first Addams Family movie, she burned that dress because she hated it so much. But it was so sexy on her. Find something you hate that much and burn it in your fireplace. Assuming you have a fireplace. Otherwise, just burn it outside.
Yes.
Okay, yes, I have a few things that I would like to burn.
Now, yes, that dress was glorious on her. She hated it so much because she had to be sewn into it every time.
But it was so sexy.
No arguments. Taurus, we'd once suggested that drinking coffee would help stabilize your mood swings. From what we've seen over the last few years, it looks like we were right. So this week, now that the price for coffee is going through the roof, maybe it's time to start cutting back on coffee and switching to something else, before you get all upset with those prices.
Gemini. A while back, the question had come up about how you could decompress at home. Dressing unconventionally was a solution, including possibly wearing a tux while eating comfort food like chicken and dumplings. We're sorry that didn't work out for you, so this week, we know where you can buy a matching cummerbund and cufflink set to make the whole outfit come together. You'll feel like $1,000,000. Just don't drip tomato sauce on the shirt again.
I said it last night, I'll say it again. Yeah, don't ask how I happen to know how bad that is. Cancer Moonchild, what to wear for Halloween was a question we covered for you, and the advice was solid. We told you to take inspiration from the original Scooby-Doo series, but maybe not Captain Cutler, especially if you were a fan of Mythbusters. Those of you that know the reference at this point for both of those are cringing horribly. I'd like to apologize. I'm not going to, but I'd like to. We finally found your social media posts from that Halloween party, by the way. Gotta hand it to you. You got the gams to be a sexy Scooby-Dum. So this week, don't do that again. You do know it's your turn.
Yes, I do, but I've lost my spot. Can you highlight it where I'm supposed to be? I'm lost. Oh, Leo, remember when you had run out of over-the-air data, but you still wanted to listen to your music via YouTube? Well, we do, and we're here to get on your nerves about it. There's a setting on your phone for connecting to Wi-Fi. Use that when you're not at home. So this week, for the simple things like music streaming, but not online banking. We here at the Horrible Scopes prefer that you keep your online banking stuff safe. Because sooner or later, someone's going to read your bank's website credentials for your account and... Money? What money? You have no money left.
Virgo, when we found out that you wanted to get into 3D modeling, we offered to sell you our training manual, The Smooth-Brained Guide to 3D Printing. To 3D building, I should say. So this week, we understand that the Mac-formatted Zip 100 disk the book came on seems to have a file error on it. However, it was clearly stated in the sales text that all sales are final. We can point you to a torrent to get the manual delivered that way instead. Please check your email for those directions this week.
Libra, we suggested you start learning how to accomplish simple, mediocre tasks with your non-dominant hand just to screw with the people around you. Plus being able to use the line, "I'm not left-handed," to impress children. So this week, come on, Libra, would it kill you to learn a new skill once a decade? Try again. Actually, ever since that little mini stroke I've had to learn how to use my left hand for more things. My right hand has become my holding hand, and my left hand is my active hand.
Scorpio, just checking on you on this one, and you better pass with flying colors. We told you to put your shopping cart back into the corral when it's raining. So this week, we're ashamed of you. Be better than that. It's less than 10 months until Krampus season, you know.
Sagittarius. We warned you not to buy those laser-guided fabric scissors, and you didn't buy them. Instead, you bought the tactical laser-guided fabric scissors for triple the price. So we want to know if they're both worth the investment. So this week, if you tinker with the laser just a bit, you can make it be the cutting part instead of the scissor part. Just watch where your fingertips are and wear eye protection.
Capricorn, do you still do crossword puzzles in ink? We heard you started doing that to practice committing to an answer once you thought everything through. So this week, it's okay if you gave up on those puzzles for things like Wordle. So long as you're trying to get your brain in gear more, that's what's important. Mental exercise.
Aquarius, we told you not to try out for the drummer's position in that Spinal Tap tribute band, and you actually followed that advice. Thank you. For everyone else, turns out the guy who got the gig, the late great Roberto Clemente, ended his career when the electronic drum set. Why are you shaking your head?
Read that name again.
The late great Roberto Clemente.
Right. Because Roberto Clemente was a baseball player. He's dead now.
Whatever. Ended his career when the electronic drum set he was using short-circuited and ignited the pyrotechnical charges being transported under the stage at the time. Boom. So this week, right now we've got nothing for you. You survived to sleep in another day. What could we possibly add to that?
And finally, my fellow fish, Pisces. Good crap, Pisces. We told you to be on the lookout for player B1 in Helldivers 2. But did you listen? Apparently you did not. We gave you specific instructions to find him, to obey him, and to try not to laugh at his abilities. So this week... Sorry, I must have hit the caps lock key when I wrote that one. Sorry. But still, yeah. On YouTube, find Sounds Like Pizza and listen in on player B1. You gotta have a fun time. Actually, come to think of it, I should have added that to the show notes. I'll have to remember to do that later.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your horrible scopes for this week. If you like what you got, I'm really hoping that you actually followed up on that stuff with us, because it's going to make it a lot easier next week when I don't have to worry about it anymore. I hope. But as always, if you'd like a nicer or naughtier one for yourself or someone else, you can ask, because that works. Or you can literally bribe me with fungible assets. I very much like that. I could very much use that these days. You can do that over at the Coffee page. That's coffee.com/Icarus the Lunar Guard. As always, I'll have these posted at the end of the week. Tumblr, Facebook, Coffee, Discord, BlueSky, because Mr. Blue Sky over here. It's the best I got. I don't know what to tell you. If it works, cool. If it don't, you know what? Is what it is. This is episode 563 on the docket, Your Honor. What'll happen when? ... Okay. As written in the show notes, here in the United States, there is something that's termed the Supremacy Clause, which basically says the absolute law of the land is the United States Constitution. States are allowed to make whatever laws, regulations that they like, so long as they still conform to the guideline of the Constitution. You cannot write a law at the state level or any other that goes against it. So, for instance, theoretically, you should not be allowed to make prohibition type laws at the state level or county level or town level because that's unconstitutional? Question mark. It's a little tough to try to figure out. But basically, when all is said and done, you're supposed to be following along with the federal level for everything, because that's the final arbiter. That's why when there are various disputes with laws, you'll hear that things have been bumped up through the courts, from the county up to the state, and then from the state to the Supreme Court. That's the federal level. And that's the one where they decide, okay, is this a constitutional challenge? Is it correct? And that's kind of where it comes out. The problem now is there are federalized workers who have been given supposed authority to go looking for people who are overstaying their welcome in this country. Now, the problem is they have been doing a piss-poor job of it, to put it mildly. They have also conducted what would appear to otherwise be federally sanctioned homicide. So, there are some states' attorneys general, and yes, that is the correct way of putting that in there, because it's multiple states, it's multiple attorneys. States' attorneys general who have said, and I'm not overstating it, if these agents come into our state and they break the law, we will hold them responsible and we will prosecute them. Here's the problem. What will happen, not if, but when this comes to be? When the state level says, we're going to charge you for kidnapping people illegally without due process. And the federal government says they are operating under our color of law. What happens? Because there are many ways that a civil war could break out. But this terrifies me because this will be, when it happens, the shot that begins the next civil war in my country. And I do not say that lightly. This is the reason why I was really hoping that we'd have Brigid here, that we'd have Joey here, that maybe we'd even have Bill from Barroom Atheists. I know it's been a long time since we've had him on the show, but
Or Dallin?
Well, very specifically those guys, because they have military. And they would have an interesting perspective because of it. Maybe not necessarily better informed, but differently informed, and that's the reason why I'm a little concerned about that. So that's where we're at the moment. So I've gone ahead. I've given you the lineup. Where would you like to start off with? Well, you know
Well,
what? Let me.
the rant that I wanted to do, which I told you about yesterday.
Right.
I have an addendum to that now.
Does
Okay.
it fall under the same auspice with all this?
Sort of, because it deals with my personal protection.
Okay. I will allow a little leeway here.
Okay. As I've been dealing with my husband's estate, I've been picking boxes at random and going through them. I had a friend of ours who is a gun dealer here a couple weeks ago, and we did a whole bunch of boxes, but we just did cursory exams. Is this ceramics? Is this? Oh, look, here's EDC stuff for, or not EDC, but earthquake preparedness stuff. Whole bunch of MREs and things.
What is EDC?
Everyday carry for emergencies in case you get stuck somewhere.
A go bag.
A go bag, yes. Well, a couple days ago, I was digging through the box that I found the go bag / earthquake stuff in. And I pull out a 9-shooter. Nice little revolver. I try to look for the key. There's no key in that bag. There's no key anywhere. And it comes with ammunition. And I start cursing and swearing up a storm because I don't really like guns. I don't like guns at all, actually. But bring it into the house a couple days ago, found the key, unlocked it, tried to use it. Nope, I can't use it. My hands aren't strong enough. And I look at it and I relock it all up and I contact my my gun dealer friend. He says to bring it over the next time I come down that way. So I did. That was today. He checks it over. He says it's a really nice gun. This is what you do in order to do this. This is what you do in order to do this. Can you fire it? You can fire it. Okay, try this. And I tried it the other way, and I could fire it. No ammo in it, no nothing, just making sure that the mechanisms were working.
Fair.
He then said, well, you took that test 2 years ago. You can pay for it today, and we can get you legal to own it. So, yeah, I'm now in the process of being legal to own that. And because of what's happening, because people are being murdered on the streets, I want to be able to at least protect myself in my own home. It's only a 22. I hope I never have to use it, but it'll come back probably tomorrow after it's double checked and serialed and all that. I have to bring my passport with me and a piece of paper that he needs printed up. But yeah, it's legal for me to own. And I did not have to actually get rid of any of the guns when I got rid of them back when my husband first died. Now, my little rant about that gun, finding it, yelling at him because he completely forgot about it. How many guns are hidden around in garages and whatnot that people don't know about, that people have forgotten about? And my other rant. This is for all of those ICE agents. Murder does not have a statute of limitations. Just because the current president says it's okay for you to do what you're doing does not mean that the next president will okay it.
Before we get past
Ev-
that part, though, I want to mention about something. One of the things that is terribly annoying about the way that my country operates, the way that this country has operated, is that theoretically, that pendulum can swing every 4 years. And
or less.
policy in this country can swing and ping pong over and over again just because. And it pisses me off because that also means that not just internally, but with the way that this country is viewed and treated externally, is also highly suspect because there is no consistency for an actual long term. So for you, those of you that are outside of the Americas, yeah, we understand. From those of us that are over here, dealing with it, living with it, some of us actually do understand, and we don't like it any more than you guys do.
It's actually quite terrifying as to what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
If you're not white Anglo-Saxon male, you are basically in danger of losing your voting rights, of losing your citizenship rights, of losing your bodily autonomy. Oh, but
Yeah.
that's not going to happen because Mr. Bullshit's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's amazing how many leopards there are who are hungry for faces these days. It absolutely boggles the mind. People from the face-eating leopard party just don't understand that they have faces too.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get it. Really don't get it.
Oh, they're eating my face. That's because you made a couple of really bad decisions. And you decided to support somebody that really does not need any support. In fact, he should not have been supported at all.
So, from your experience growing up Canadian, however, the way that the structure is set up in Canada is a little bit different as I've understood it. The various provinces and territories, they operate a lot more independently compared to the federal level. Not exactly the same way that the United States individual states compared to the Fed, as I've understood it. It always feels like each of the provinces kind of they have an uncomfortable relationship with the federal level, but yeah, okay, we'll do it that way because yeah, you're the federal level kind of thing.
Well, like blue states paying more in taxes and getting less from the American federal government, Canada has the same thing with several of their provinces, specifically British Columbia. British Columbia has been a give province for most of its time as a Canadian province. There's been a couple years where it hasn't been a give, where it's actually had to take a little bit, and Quebec has been the main take province. British Columbia had either 100 or 150-year celebration. I think it was 100 years. And Quebec got more money for their celebration than British Columbia did for the entire year. It was just one celebration. Um, in Canada, the regime change is more like every decade because we'll allow the elections to go and the ruling party to keep on ruling. And also, it's not binary.
No, it is very much not.
It's at least 3 parties, if not 4. First off, currently in power is the Liberal government. Second, the major opposition is the Conservatives. Third is the Bloc Québécois, the party that actually wants to split up the country and pull Quebec out. And fourth is all the other parties, including the NDP, the Green, and anything else that might have a seat, including independents. The NDP lost a lot of seats in the last election.
Now, I also want
to... Bit of history. Back in the 90s, they decided to open up so that any political party could run for the federal election. So we ended up getting the Marijuana Party, the Rhino Party, a variation of the Not Safe for Work Party. You know, similar to never mind. And the 2 best parties apparently was the Pirates of Canada, which might have just been a fictional party because of the Royal Canadian Air Force. Hey, at least then we knew where our money was going to go, to the pirates. Arr. But the best party, the one that I actually wanted to support and was actually hoping would get at least one seat, was the Transcendental Meditation Party run by Doug Henning. He is a magician. He was going to make the debt disappear. Just imagine me making my fingers wiggle like he did. Doug Henning, master magician, Canada's #1 magician. Oh. But because they opened that, all of a sudden we had the Bloc Québécois, which was the party for Quebec. We had the Reform Party, which was the Western party of Alberta and BC mostly. A little bit of Saskatchewan and Manitoba, but Alberta and BC. And the Reform Party and the Conservative Party, which got its ass handed to them, joined up and became the Canadian Reform Alliance Party. That party could not use its acronym in Parliament. The Canadian Reform Alliance Party. Think of the acronym. CRAP. There was a huge scandal about it. Seriously. Just a huge scandal. It was funny as hell to watch. And about 15 years ago, the Conservative Party was about to fall, hadn't fallen yet, and they had to have a vote of non-confidence, and this one independent member of the federal legislature was the deciding vote. He was from Surrey, BC, one of the ridings down there, and he had cancer. He made it for the vote. He stood up, did his vote. I don't remember which way it went. And that was it. He died. His wife took over for the rest of the term until they could get somebody to replace him. I think they had a by-election or something, or it was close enough to an actual election. But it was awesome watching it because we have C-SPAN, which is the Canadian political channel, and you can watch Canadian politics live as it's happening or recorded from earlier that day if they're no longer in session. Parliament was invaded by a shooter, and the Speaker of the House used his mace to deal with the shooter. You know, but currently we have the 3 main parties: the Liberals, the Conservatives, and the Bloc. The Conservatives and the Bloc, as well as the Conservatives and the Bloc, do not have enough seats to throw the Liberals out. Really close. If they bring the NDP and all the independent seats in, that block together, that entire block of parliamentarians, could kick the Liberals out. And we'd have to go for a general election again. That was my leg. My kitten's in psycho kitten mode.
So
It has happened before. It could happen again. And if it does happen again, it's going to be interesting and fun to deal with and to watch because of all that. And in Canada, the way to vote is pretty simple. An X in a circle that has the name of your candidate. And we vote for the local representative, and the party that has the most representatives that get voted in becomes the ruling party in power.
Okay.
And if they have enough people, they become a majority government. If they don't, they become a minority government. And also in Canada, we have one thing that I absolutely love. We can send in or do blank ballots, which have no X's, no marks whatsoever, as a protest vote. It's essentially a spoiled ballot, but they do look at how many spoiled ballots there are. And I
Okay.
did that the last election because I did not get my ballot in the previous election and I was pissed. I basically said none of you guys deserve my vote. You guys didn't help me when I needed it.
All right. The piece that I wanted to drop in here also is for those that are also, listening to it and aren't as well versed in Canadian politics, and I'm going to admit I'm not very well versed, but I know this much. When mention is made of the Conservative and the Liberal parties by name, those are not necessarily the descriptors. Those are the titles of the groups. What they do may not or may be part of what would traditionally be referred to as the conservative ideology or the liberal ideology. So don't get immediately turned off one way or the other, or turned on one way or the other, just by listening to the names. Definitely have to
I'm
be, making sure that you know what it is that they're standing for before you go ahead and, good mouth them or bad mouth them.
Oh. I'm putting in a wiki page into the show notes.
Okay.
No, we should have put the divider in. The Liberal Party of Canada is actually very liberal in social liberalism, center to center left. So, yeah. Conservative Party of Canada is center right to right wing. It's conservative, social conservatism, economic liberalism. Bloc Québécois wants Quebec's sovereignty. The New Democratic Party wants social democracy. So very, very left. And the Green Party of Canada wants us to have more green everything. Green this, green that, green this, green that. So more environmental. Some of the other parties, Animal Protection Party, Canadian Future Party, Centrist Party of Canada, Christian Heritage Party, Communist Party of Canada, Libertarian Party of Canada, Marxist-Leninist Party of Canada, People's Party of Canada, Rhinos Party of Canada, United Party of Canada. There's also the Marijuana Party of Canada and others.
Okay.
And what I find absolutely hysterically historical, and I have to say it, is at one point, the Queen's loyal opposition, that's what they were called, was the party that was trying to break up Canada. The Bloc Québécois had enough seats to be the opposition and almost had enough seats to actually to have become the ruling party in Canada. At that point in time, Canada would have broken up.
So where I was trying to get us into before we kind of took a left turn at Albuquerque here, the individual provinces analogous to the states here down over here, but far and away larger because Canada is quite large. As I've understood it, like I said, they seem to have a little bit more of an adversarial appreciation for the federal level. And I'm kind of wondering, does that seem I'm not going to say accurate, but does that seem fair to put it that way?
Well, the Liberal Party of
No,
British
no, 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 no.
Columbia.
Hold on. The the territories, the provinces themselves, not the individual groups, but does it seem like to you each of the provinces have kind of their own, we're us, fine, we agree that we're part of the collective, but, we're not really thrilled about it, that kind of thing. Other than, of course, Ontario wanting to say, screw y'all, we're going home.
Not Ontario, it was Quebec.
Sorry.
Quebec has been saying, screw you, we're taking our ball and going home for generations. And there's actually been a few times where the rest of Canada has said, do it, go ahead. But you can only take that little bit of you. We get the rest of you. And then the fight happens. Most of the time, the provinces do try to work with the federal government. They do have a nudge, nudge, wink, wink. We're working together. We're working together. But at the same time, there's been some right rural between the provincial and the federal. The provincial Liberals, they're no longer a party in BC. I can see that. Yeah, they're no longer a party in BC, so they must have kind of folded. I wonder why. They are not actually associated with the Liberal Party of Canada. They were very socially anti-socialist. That's what I'm looking for, anti-socialist. They brought in this punitive disability checklist that you had to do. It used to be 3 or 4 pages. Easy peasy. Most of the time people got it. They brought in a 23-page checklist that had to be filled out by a doctor and somebody else, as well as the person, in order to qualify for disability. And it actually caused suicides. Oops, called unaliving. It caused unalivings because people could not handle that they were going to have to completely redo their PWD status, person with disability status. And that would have been very, very bad for the government if more than a few of the unalivings had happened. And yes, there were. One of the policies that is very much a problem in Canada, and it's across the entirety of Canada, is that social services agencies, more specifically social services ministries, have been telling people with mental illness and physical illnesses that maybe they should do MAID, medical assistance in unaliving. And it's caused a bit of uproar. You're homeless? Oh, do MAID. You've got this disability? Well, we don't want to pay for you anymore. Do MAID. You've got this mental illness? Do MAID. It's caused a bit of an uproar, both provincial level, federal level, as well as individual communities. The Tie-yee.ca is a good place to look for social stuff in Canada, specifically in British Columbia. Other provinces have similar newspapers that are outside of the normal newspapers. This is more of a community social outreach newspaper. There used to be a paper in Vancouver itself called The Long Haul, and I loved reading it because it actually dealt with the Vancouver homeless and Indigenous population, the people that were so poor that they had nothing. They lived under the overpasses. They lived in the hidden areas of Vancouver that wasn't safe to live in because if there was an earthquake, they would have been killed. You know? And the Tie-yee is actually a wonderful resource.
All right. Part of the thing that want to hit over here. Stephanie just posted over here. The UK also has a method to allow the homeless to register and vote. Good. Seriously good. That is something that should never be an issue in my head. If you are a citizen, you are to have the ability to vote. It's one of those things that drives me up a wall, because there is a problem with some people who say you need to pay a poll tax in order to vote. Now, that poll tax could be in various different methodologies. But here in the United States, that has been legislated out, that has been voted, that has been deemed unconstitutional and is not supposed to be allowed to happen. So I very much am of the opinion that if you go through public education before graduation, you should be signed up. You should be registered. There should be no fee involved whatsoever. You don't need an ID. Your voter card is all that you should need. But unfortunately, as we know full well, there are some people who don't have them for any reason. Because they didn't get one before, because it was never instituted, and now they're people who are just, well, how am I supposed to get it when all the places that would otherwise issue the ID that you want are going to charge me for it? Or they're cumbersome to get to. Or they're never open when they're supposed to be. Or you've closed them in my neighborhood and it's uncomfortable to try to get there via the public service that you've never funded correctly to allow us to travel.
Yeah.
Can you see where that's a bit of a problem?
During all my years as somebody that has volunteered for the general elections to work as poll clerk, poll supervisor, poll this, poll that, there's only been a couple times where I've had to tell somebody, no, I can't let you vote. They just didn't have the right ID. And it was usually somebody that had just moved to the area and hadn't updated their ID. And I felt bad, because that's one of the things I believe in. You have the right to vote. Doesn't matter where you come from, you have the right to vote. If you are a citizen of this country, you have the right to vote. And
So, yeah. So, now, getting properly back on track. The individual states here in the United States, everybody is effectively their own mini country, with the federal government being the one that ties it all together. It's the big umbrella, which, as I've understood it, using the expression umbrella might not be comfortable for some people for various reasons. I don't know. I've never played that game. However, the question mark as put, what's going to happen when a state arrests a federal worker for a state-level crime? Now, the problem, well, part of the problem, is that, as we know full well, the current dictator in charge, and I will use that expression at this time because it seems the most apparently obvious, has this unorthodox belief that he can simply pardon anyone and everyone that he so chooses, usually for a price tag, or so it would appear. That having been said, the president, the office of the President of the United States of America, can pardon federal crimes, not anyone else's. So, commutations and pardons for state-level crimes, county-level crimes, town-level crimes, that's not a thing. It's simply not. That's the way it's designed. If you wanted to get a pardon or commutation, you would have to go to the state's highest ranking officer, and that would be the governor. You would have to appeal to the governor, and they would choose one way or the other. Is somebody going to have their punishment commuted? Are they going to be pardoned for their crime? That's up to them at that point. Is it possible that the Federal Department of Justice will get involved to try to say, this is a federal worker? We do not recognize the state having any jurisdiction over these people for acts that they did in their official capacity. Yeah, that's what I think is going to happen. And I do believe it will happen during this year. Hell, I would be surprised if it doesn't happen before the summer. I give it 6 months tops. And like I said, therein lies the question, and therein lies the problem. Because who's got jurisdiction of a federal worker who commits a state-level crime?
That's a good question.
Under normal circumstances, under any other circumstances, if a federal employee was arrested for a crime, it would be likely that there would be a lawyer from the federal level, and I'm saying that nicely so, because it would be likely that they'd have to gain their own counsel as defendants, and they would simply go through the same rigmarole as everybody else. But the way that things are operating now, I would not be at all surprised if once one of these people is arrested, and I hate to say this, I would not be at all surprised if there was a literal face down of arms. We are arresting this person on charges of homicide. No, you're not. Yes, we are. Click, click. No, you're not. Click, click. Don't do this. You don't want this to happen. Why wouldn't I? I've got more guns than you do. Tell me that that isn't the nightmare scenario.
It's not the nightmare scenario. It's a potential truth. Oh, and Roxy says, hi! Wave, 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 wave. She's talking to me personally.
Ah. That's a different matter.
She's very sweet. I think it's actually going to happen. I think it's going to happen sometime in the next 2 to 3 months. I think somebody is going to overstep, and the it's gonna go boom.
That's what I'm worried about. But like I said, the question is, will it stay civil?
Nope.
And I'm saying that from the standpoint of meaning, will it stay inside of the courtrooms? Will it stay on paper? Will it be written in ink, or will it be written in blood?
It's going to be written in blood because that group wants civil war. They are doing things so that protesters have to be extremely careful not to react. The problem is they have been reacting, but they've been good so far.
Well, one of the things that's
Cat, so
also...
help me, you turn off my computer. I'm going to have Korean tomorrow. Right. She's threatening my computer power source.
We're not going to say something like that again, are we?
No. I should have muted myself.
Any case, one of the things that's been stated also with the folks that have been protesting ICE these days, specifically the ones that go out there en masse, blowing whistles, which, by the way, there are plenty of 3D printable whistles out there. They're really great. Some refer to them as rape whistles because they are designed to be very simple, very small, plastic. They put out two tones that are bad against each other because of the frequencies. That's good. That's what you want. And they're loud as all get out. Very simple to print, by the way.
There's actually a guide as to how to whistle in order to let people know that stuff's happening. I downloaded the guide. Let me see if I can find it. I at least printed it once. Let's see if I can find it. Why did I print it? Why did I get this guide? Because I wanted to make sure that I was safe. And I wanted to print it out and share it with other people.
So, one of the things that's been said about this, because there have been a lot of these protests, especially out in Minnesota way. You know, part of my family comes from out that way. Which, by the way, I don't know where to find it, and I just thought about it. I did see that somebody had superimposed on the map of the United States the largest blocks of Democratic voting states and areas and cities, and overlaying the ICE activities. And, they look to be overlapping centers. I can't imagine why. Any case, one of the things that's been said for the folks who've been going out there in Minnesota, where it is cold, it is cold cold out that way. And some of the folks have been coming out there in, especially the ladies, long jackets and basically slippers, ankle socks, house dresses, and just going out there when the time comes, when they're needed. And they just go out there, have their presence, blowing their whistles. And they have made their presence known. But, very specifically, not being physical. Not instigating, not pushing, not shoving, not doing anything like that, so that there is no excuse. When, not if, when these sons of bitches start firing off less than lethal rounds. First off, let's just go ahead and admit that that's a bullshit statement in and of itself. Throwing chemical irritants. Spraying said chemical irritants. Arresting people for no reason. Except maybe for resisting arrest. Yeah, that's a thing here in the United States. Anyway. But what's been said is that as soon as these people start getting physical and quote-unquote assaulting these federalized workers, that's when there will be an excuse to pull out the Insurrection Act so that federal troops, meaning the army, the actual standing army of the United States of America, could be used to help quell. Love that word, right? Quell. These groups who are otherwise part of a First Amendment activity. Part of the First Amendment is that you are permitted to gather peacefully and to I forget what the wording was, but the redress of grievances against the government. You're allowed to protest. So, piece by piece, they're trying to whittle away these different pieces. The various 10 amendments to the Constitution, the very first 10, the ones that are deemed the Bill of Rights, allowing the freedom of the press, which is being stifled through economic methods, if nothing else, other than outright threats of pulling broadcasting licenses. Redresses of grievances, the right to protest, the right to worship in whatever way to whatever mythological creature you want. Saying that buildings need to allow these federal people in. No. No, you're not welcome in my shop. Get out. That's allowed. You are supposed to be comfortable in your person and belongings. Yeah, how's that going? You are supposed to be able to have due process of law. Again, when people are just simply kidnapped off of the streets and they are supposedly taken in so that they can be processed for deportation, only to find out that they are Native American peoples. Absolute what the fuck.
Off so much.
Absolute what the fuck moments. You know? And the federal level Congress critters who have tried to go to these concentration camps. I'm not going to call them detention facilities because that's not what they are. That may be what they're titled, but that's not what they are. These concentration camps. And they're being turned away, forcibly turned away in some cases, for a place where they are not only permitted to, they are obligated to inspect. The courts need to do their fucking job. And I know, right now, I'm trying very desperately to stay away from that type of language right now, but it's getting harder and harder these days. It's part of the reason why it's been really tough to get some of these shows going.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have put a few things in to show notes. One of them is the whistle signals. Code 1, ICE is nearby. You blow in short bursts. Preep, 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 preep. It's supposed to be 4 of them. Preep, 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 preep. Preep, 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 preep. And you blow that to warn that ICE is around. And you don't have to have the plastic whistle. You can have any whistle that you have, so long as it makes a whistle sound.
Now, the only reason why I mentioned about the plastic whistles is because anybody that's got a 3D printer could very easily make these things. And there are a number of either free or very low cost printing methods available, i.e., ask your local county library if and or where they have 3D printing systems set up. Here in Buffalo, downtown Buffalo, they have several of them available. First come, first serve. You pay for the amount of filament that you use, and that's it.
The second code is pre. That means that ICE is actively trying to detain people. Blow in long blasts. ICE is detaining someone. So, yeah. The first one, the pre. That's ICE is around here. ICE is nearby. ICE is doing shit. But the pre. That longer one is ICE is doing something bad. ICE is detaining somebody. It's the code red. These work because it's faster than social media. You don't have to try and scream. Even a child could blow a whistle and get this done. Even a senior could do it. Anyone can do it.
And they are goddamned loud and pierce through.
And they work. And they work.
And for anybody that questions just how good is something like that, might I remind you, what you're doing is audible Morse code. And if there's one thing that some of us who've done radio comms know, Morse code works. It's lasted for well over 100 years for a good goddamned reason. It's not Morse code that's being used, but it's effectively the same idea.
And why not use Morse code as well?
Sure.
If you know SOS, do that.
And most people do.
If you don't know SOS, long blows on your whistle.
And let's face it, during the winter, if you're in an area where there is significant, winter weather and significant snowfalls, keeping these things as an alert if something bad should happen, not such a bad idea. I mean, you'd go skiing. There's the plausible possibility of, getting buried under, going headfirst into, breaking a leg because you're half wrapped yourself around a tree inadvertently. Probably a good idea to have one of those anyway.
Now, if I know anything, somewhere in this house there's bound to be emergency whistles. I know that there's little whistles that do the one tone but not the double tone. I know that there's double tone whistles in here. I know it. He was such a prepper, there has to be. But I'm looking
Yep.
on Amazon and I can find tons of them.
Sure.
Less than $10.
Yeah.
You can get a titanium one for $26 or $27. You can get stainless steel ones for $13. You can get bulk ones, which are more like coaches' whistles that they use at sporting events as well, for $12. You can get the classic stuff for $10. And you can get 4 of them. So you can give one to 3 people that you know that need it. Remember to keep your own. You know, this is a way to combat ICE without having to get violent.
Which is
They like
absolutely the last thing that you want to have happen.
they like doing things oh so secretive. They like doing things in the dark, early in the morning, when people aren't ready for them. They like doing things when others can't fight back.
You know, I'm looking up over on printables.com for whistles. There are a lot of different versions over here. Some of them they list very specifically how loud some of them are. And, you know, they look, some of the smallest ones look about the same size as like basically an oversized zipper pull. But I'm seeing one of them. I love it. It's a ring. You literally can wear it on your hand. It's small.
I printed one of those up 7 years ago when my son had a 3D printer and we were messing around with it. And I got no clue where it is. One's wolf shaped. I think that's cool.
And I remember having seen somebody had an, I think it was Aztec death head whistle. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And they posted to one of the things, it was probably Reddit. I don't do Reddit, but I'm pretty sure that's where it was. And they said, they basically asked, would it be okay for me to go and use this for, you know, for these ICE things? And the person who had like the highest upvote and whatnot said, look, I have blood going back to the Southwest, Mexican, ancient Aztec. Our forefathers would have demanded and been proud to have this come out again so that it can be used for the purpose it was designed for. And good Christ, I'm so proud to see stuff like that happen.
I've gone over to Etsy and there's all sorts of wonderful whistles. And some are sold as packs. Safety whistles sold as pack. Safety whistles sold as pack. So 3, 4, 5, whatever. It's so simple.
Yeah.
And micro whistles.
Yeah.
Bulk of them, 100 whistles.
So this is all well and good for protecting the public. But what's going to be happening protecting society? You know what I mean? The legal avenues of this all. It terrifies me. It actually, honest to freaking God, terrifies me. And you know, for me to go ahead and start using terms like that, yeah. I don't know what's going to be happening. I really, really, truly hope that I'm wrong, that there will be bloodshed. I really hope that I'm wrong. You have no idea how much I want to be wrong. But I'm
The
deathly
problem is
afraid
there's
that that's
already
exactly
been
what's going to happen.
bloodshed. There already has been bloodshed. There already has been bloodshed. There already has been bloodshed. There's been at least 2 Americans that have been killed. And there will be more.
2 very notable actively, and who only knows how many passively through neglect in these concentration camps. Not to mention using a friggin' 5-year-old as bait. Have you ever thought that maybe you guys are the baddies? Just saying. And I don't mean to downplay these situations. The reality, however, is that we individuals, I'm not going to say don't matter, because we do. But we individuals are not going to be the ones, for lack of a better expression, lighting this Roman candle. The question is, where and who?
My hope is a little blood clot finally does what it's supposed to do.
It's not enough, of course.
I know.
But I'm with you. I'm with you.
The
I'm with
problem
you.
is the next person might be worse.
I'm trying to see if I can find the post where a person had said that, yep. Well, no, that's not the post that I was looking for, but damn. So there are
Interesting. Somebody has created a stone whistle.
come again.
I think somebody on Etsy has created a stone whistle. Stupid link to hell.
Oh, just got rocks and drilled and carved, cut into. Yeah, okay.
Baby Wickle, a baby dill pickle whistle.
Cause sure, why not?
So as for me, I've been starting to pack up my things. I'm using the master bedroom closet as where I'm putting most of my stuff. I brought all of my stuffed animals in from the garage, and they are being put into bags and put into the storage in the master bedroom closet. I haven't done the suck the air out of the bags yet. That's one of the things I plan on doing. And of course, yesterday I was showing Dallin all of the places that I like, especially the one place that has a jacuzzi tub. I'm hoping and praying for that one. I'm hoping I can get that one.
I
That's where I want to end up.
found the post
Oh?
Hold on a second. Let me... Yep. Found it. Found it over on Instagram. I will put the link in the show notes. Person says, chat, should I bring my Aztec death whistle to the ice raids? The comment, part Mexican with Aztec roots here. Do it. This is exactly the scenario in which our ancestors would use this. They'd be honored to be called upon again.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I found
good.
one in Etsy that is frogs that say resist and don't obey.
Brilliant. Stephanie's had a... By the way, Alexa, I did see over there. Sorry, didn't
Alexa.
catch you at the time. Sorry, just reading over here. Stephanie has pointed out, never mind accidental deaths, withholding medication and actual assault goes on in the camps. Oh, and not forgetting disease. COVID and measles are already there and spreading. The part of the problem is that it's hard to get actual factual information out of them. Do I disagree with you? No. I would find it ludicrous to think that it wasn't happening. But I don't know specifically of what's been going on. And admittedly, part of that is because I haven't gone looking. So if there is information out there and I've just missed it because whatever, I plead ignorance because, you know, I haven't been able to go looking. So if I'm wrong, I will accept fault on that one. But I still believe that you're right.
So one of the things that I've shared is the red card. It is a card that's being given out to all immigrants and anybody else that wants it that talks about the constitutional rights that you have. Do not open the door if an immigration agent is knocking on the door. Do not answer any questions from an immigration agent if they try to talk to you. You have the right to remain silent. Excuse me. You do not sign anything without first speaking to a lawyer. You have the right to speak with a lawyer. If you're outside of your home, ask the agent if you're free to leave. And if they say yes, leave calmly. Give this card to the agent. If you're inside your home, show the card through the window or slide it under the door. I do not wish to speak with you, answer your questions, or sign or hand you any documents based on my Fifth Amendment rights under the United States Constitution. I do not give you permission to enter my home based on my Fourth Amendment rights under the United States Constitution unless you have a warrant to enter signed by a judge or magistrate with my name on it that you slide under the door. I do not give you permission to search any of my belongings based on my Fourth Amendment rights. I choose to exercise my constitutional rights. These rights apply to anybody on American soil.
That's correct. And just to make sure that the people in the back hear that, would you go ahead and say that again, please?
These rights belong to everyone on American soil. This also includes American territories.
Anywhere where the U.S. Constitution is the law of the land. Now, I'm saying that because there are some people who are dumb, go traveling abroad, and suddenly, oh, I can go ahead and I can photograph I could photograph the local constabulary because I'm allowed to do that in public. That's my First Amendment right. Mate, you're in Ireland. No, you don't have a First Amendment right here. Well, why not? Because the First Amendment right is American. But I'm American. You're not on American soil. See how easy that is? And for those of you that have ever had to deal with the ignorant Americans in your home countries who act like that, I would personally like to disavow them as Americans, but I'm terribly sorry. Ever heard the telephone? No, I haven't. I will admit I haven't.
I don't want to, because I know those that have been not legally incarcerated in those camps.
Kidnapped is a fair answer.
Kidnapped. I know that they are being hurt. I know that they are being starved. I know that they're being denied medical attention, proper health and hygiene, as well as contact with lawyers and their family. I don't need to hear. I know it.
The last time the United States did something like this, there was an investigation afterwards. It took time. It took damn near 30 years. But there was a report that eventually went ahead and said, yeah, it was the wrong thing to do. And there were legislations put in place to prevent this from happening again. Obviously, with not nearly enough teeth.
Nope.
Or, minimally, not enough teeth being used by those who apparently don't have the balls to use them. You know, checks and balances only work when somebody actually uses them.
Hmm.
And Stephanie is pointing out there's a whole series of videos on YouTube about U.S. citizens learning that their rules do not apply in other countries. Yeah, I've seen some of them. It pains me. Not because I think, well, how could you be so stupid? No, no, no. What pains me is watching the people in those countries who are native to those countries, citizens of those countries, who are absolutely gobsmacked at the idiocy that they have to deal with. Again, on behalf of all the rest of my countrymen who know better, yeah, throw him in prison for a while. We won't miss him, and neither will you. God, now I'm remembering the stories of that kid in Singapore who, American citizen, who did whatever the hell it was, and he was going to be caned because that's the going punishment for whatever the hell it was. And there was this big uproar about the whole thing. How can you do this to American citizen? Yeah, we're doing it to somebody who broke the law in our country. These are our rules. You don't like it? Maybe you shouldn't have been here and broke the law.
Yeah.
I don't know. Lex is also pointing out, and I'm going to paraphrase here for a second because I think this is where we're gonna get pretty well ready to wrap up. That effectively, the checks and balance system has been underutilized or ill-prepared. Again, I'm paraphrasing. there is something to be said for that. Because,
Checks and balances system has been corrupted.
that is part of it. That is a good part of it. Part of the problem also is that the language that these laws are typically written in are not given the gravitas that they are intended with. So there are differences in how language is utilized between the lay public and those who are fluent in law. It's an uncomfortable way of putting it. So, as an example, if in a legal document something is said to, if something happens, then this will happen, that is different than, I'm trying to remember what the expression was. If this happens, God, I admittedly I am not versed in law, so I'm trying to remember what the things are. So, for instance, there are conditions where something shall happen, where something will happen, and the terminology that gets used in these situations has a different level of a different level of, I'm not sure what the right word is for it. I mean, I used the term gravitas before, but that's not exactly right. Gravity. The right level of gravity, of seriousness, of import. And it's all too easy for people who do not understand what the words are trying to convey. And part of that is because, language shifts, language changes, and when you're writing, as lawyers do, the terminology is in the language of law. It's not in the language of the public. And maybe that's a problem. Now, I understand there is an argument to be made for, no, it's supposed to be that way for a good goddamned reason, and I get that. Because, as an example, you cannot successfully convey medical information in anything other than the technical wording of biological medicine. You cannot use laypeople speak to explain what something is. In common parlance, you do not ever use the term phlebotomist. You do not, in common terminology, use the term sphygmomanometer. Most people would not know how to spell either of those. Never mind when to use them properly in a sentence. But those who are versed in the words, the language of medicine, they know full well exactly what they are. They have a complete understanding of who uses, who is, what happens with, what is the use of. Where lay people will be like, that's a made-up word, aren't you? That you just made that word up now. I don't believe you. So to say that the law for the checks and balances has been corrupted? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And for anybody that wants to question that, look no further than Mitch McConnell saying, yeah, you know what? We're just not going to go ahead and entertain any Supreme Court justices now. Yeah, it's supposed to be our job, but yeah, I don't want to do it now. They needed to be sued. Literally. They needed to be sued. because that was their fucking job, and they abdicated their job. I'm trying very desperately not to be angry.
Oh, be angry. Be angry.
No.
The federal government has all the different layers of the federal government has completely failed in what they're supposed to do in order to protect the government, in order to keep the government just and secure and stable. They have completely failed. Completely. The three branches of the government, the legislative, the executive, and the judicial, don't have a separation anymore. The legislative is basically allowing the executive to do anything it wants, and the judicial is basically rubber stamping it. That's not how the United States government is supposed to be. The legislative is supposed to have those checks and balances between the two houses in order to make sure that the laws are just, and then they go to the president to be vetoed or to be signed into law. And then if there's a problem with them, the judiciary deals with it. And it's not working. The federal government in the United States is fail. And it's failing the people, and there's going to be more people died.
Yeah.
Every single time somebody stands up and they're hurt or worse, that's somebody standing up for the rest of us. As others have said, be good.
Yeah. We're just about out of time. I'll give you a couple extra moments over here before I formally close it up.
Let's see. I'm basically middle fingering CRA and Justin Trudeau's COVID response because I found out that my credit rating is shot to hell, and until I can fix it up in Canada, I probably can't get a mortgage. And the only way to
And
fix it is by paying money.
and CRA stands for
It's Canadian Revenue Agency, Canadian version of the IRS. With the same strength, same power, same you know what? So I'm just going to say, may you find the peace I have lost, the strength to do the impossible, the will to carry on, and the hope to hold you together. Grief is just love without a place. Grief is love without a purpose. Grief is love without a beloved. Grief is love without a place to go. Ah, ce soir, mon amour, j'ai encore du travail. And I'm not going to do the Hebrew because I've been butchering it the last couple times. But basically, the Hebrew says that I loved him so much that I almost walked off into eternity with him. Be strong out there. I'll try to stay strong here. A couple of people have given me hope, and I've needed it. And yes, I have found the condo I want in Canada. It has a jacuzzi tub. I'm willing to live in this funny shaped place because it has a jacuzzi tub.
nothing wrong with that. Before I write properly close, when you mentioned about Doug Henning earlier, Doug Henning has been parodied several times over the years. And I kind of remembered something from my youth. A play that he was part of, a musical called The Magic Show, that I had remembered from when I was a kid, because it was, where was it over here? It used to be on Broadway from mid-'74 to the end of '78. And my grandmother was able to get me to go there to see it. I don't remember exactly when, but that means that I would have seen it when I was no more than 9 years old. And I still remember bits and pieces.
I remember watching Doug Henning on Canadian TV doing his magic specials. Back when magicians were doing magic specials. It was wonderful. I think the last magician I saw do a special was either David Copperfield or Penn and Teller. And what I really love about Doug Henning was that he was on The Muppet Show.
Yes, he was.
Sorry.
Yes,
The
he
Muppets,
was.
okay?
No, nothing wrong with that. What I want to finish with is this. Some people have joked and said, wouldn't it be great if time travel were a thing and we could go back in time and correct this timeline? Change things for the better. Get rid of problems before they started. As they mentioned in one of the Avengers movies, why couldn't you just go back in time and, find baby Hitler and... Well, let's just go with that for just a second.
Oh, no, not the baby Hitler's thing, not the baby Hitler thing, because
Stop.
I've read a story about the baby Hitler thing, and it starts to hurt my brain.
Now, knowing full well that time travel is not a thing, at least not backwards in time. What if it were? And what if we are actually in the better timeline already? That's a terrifying possibility. But since that's not something that is plausible, and we can only go forward, as the joke goes, at a rate of 1 second per second, that means that we now have it in our possession, moment by moment, to make little changes forward. We don't have to try to change the world on our own. That's not feasible. We cannot do that. No one person can. No matter what office they might hold, no matter how many destructive qualities, no one person can make that happen. It's the individuals. It is always the individuals. Society curves towards justice. It doesn't have to be a lot. It just has to be enough. And sometimes, just sometimes, if you're able to make just that one minute change to how things are going, that's enough. You don't have to make a grand thing. Just has to be just enough. If you draw a line 90 degrees on a flat plane, it'll just go forever. But if it's off by any amount whatsoever, eventually it curves back. It can take a long time, be a really big circle, but eventually it would come back. Just do what you can in that one moment to make that curve happen. Just the barest of bits. That's all you need to do. We need to call it a night. Thank you for being with us. We really do appreciate it. We hope that you found something worthwhile in all of our perspectives and you got something to think about for the week ahead. Hopefully, again, only a week ahead. This has not been an especially easy weekend for either of us, but thank you guys for being. It's, as always, appreciated. Lexa, Stephanie, guys, thank you, as always. We hope that you guys stay safe, stay warm, stay rested. And, we'll catch up with you soon. Io, thank you. I'm glad you're able to make it. You do your best to take care.
I'm trying. I'm trying to decide if I want to spend $30 on Amazon, which would include an emergency whistle. I think I have one. I think I know where it is. I mean, I have emergency whistles, but the dual-toned emergency whistle.
Or, alternatively, spend $100 and get a 3D printer and just make a whole ton of them.
I would love to do that.
I know.
You know what? When I get to where I'm going, I'll be making those. And making other things, and making this, and making that. I had fun with my 3D printer way back when. Well, my son's 3D printer, but still.
And even though she's not here, I'm going to invoke the spirit of Brigid Fitch. And I'm going to, on her behalf, send a big ol' fuck you to whoever it was that thought it was a good idea and greenlit setting up one of those concentration camps not very far away from her in the same state. So, for all you motherfuckers who thought this was a good idea and there's no possible repercussions from it, just fuck all the fuck of you. And Brigid, thank you for giving the inspiration for these kinds of things. With luck, we will be seeing y'all again next week. If you'd like to be in touch with us, of course, easiest way is, of course, as always, over on social media, probably on BlueSky. You can find the account over there. Join us over on the Discord, however long that's going to last. And yeah, we know what's going on with that. I'm waiting to see a little bit more what's happening. I'm not thrilled about it. We may have to find a different avenue. We'll see. I'm still not really thrilled about being over there on Facebook, but it's there. Don't worry.
Ugh.
Other than that, please be safe. Please stay healthy. And just know that we will do our damnedest to be here for you again. So, until the next time we're together, as always, I wish you all the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. My lady, 20 and a half years. I am still in love. Well, Matane Fujin. I love you. I miss you. Dream of me. Till the next time we're together, everyone. As always, good night.